Now let's walk through how to create a simple risk assessment. Firstly, click on the Risk Assessment button on the main menu. This will take you to your list of existing risk assessments. To add a risk assessment, click on the plus button in the top right. You can either add a risk assessment from scratch, or you can add a risk assessment from the EOR Library. Before adding a risk assessment from scratch, we'll take a quick look at the EOR Library. Here you can see some of the risk assessments in the EOR Library. If, for example, you are from a bricklaying company, you can link to the bricklaying risk assessments. We'll untick these as we don't want to add them right now. Click Done to return back to your list of risk assessments. Now let's take a look at adding a risk assessment from scratch. Click Plus and then click Scratch. Now we have a blank risk assessment. Fill out its details, including its title, date reviewed, how often it requires review, and who may be harmed by the activity. Next, select the PPE required for the task. We select from the PPE list at the top, and the selected PPE will appear in the list at the bottom. Now we come to adding the hazards that relate to the risk assessment. Again, we can either add these from scratch, or we can add them from our templates. Firstly, we'll have a go at adding a hazard from scratch, and then we'll take a look at using the hazard templates. Click on Add Hazard, fill out the hazard title, its type, and enter its likelihood both before and after control. Now add the controls for that hazard. And click Done Add Next to quickly add the controls. That's the hazard added. Click Done to return to the risk assessment. Now we'll add hazards from our templates. Click Add from Template and select the hazard from the list of templates that appears. We can ensure that only relevant controls from that template are entered into the risk assessment by deselecting any irrelevant controls. Clicking Add will add the hazard and the controls to the risk assessment. If required, we can add a sequence of operations, also known as a safe method of work or operating procedure, to the risk assessment. Click on Add Sequence of Operations and then Add Steps to detail how the task should be carried out safely. Fill out the date reviewed and how often the sequence should be reviewed. Then click Done to return to the risk assessment. If we want to print the risk assessment, we use the Print button at the top of the screen, and this will save the risk assessment PDF to your desktop. Finally, click Done to return to the main menu.